What are some of the most common myths about the pelvic floor that you wish people knew were false?
I would say the first one is pregnancy, that, when giving birth, people think your pelvic floor pushes the baby out, and that is false. Your pelvic floor needs to get out of the way. It needs to relax and move aside. It's actually your uterus that is contracting that pushes the baby out.
Oh.
And so this is why it's important when we're giving birth. The way that we give birth now is most women, over 90%, have an epidural, which kind of numbs the lower half of our body. And that's to help manage pain, which is wonderful. We want pain relief so that women can be comfortable. However, it also means you can't necessarily feel your contractions and you can't push as efficiently. And so I think understanding that you don't need to have these super strong pelvic floor muscles to push a baby out. You actually need to have really relaxed pelvic floor muscles. And so that's why I'm so passionate about educating women during birth that, we want to teach you how to relax those muscles when pushing versus tighten them and think you have to push so hard.
How does the pelvic floor change in menopause?
Drastically. And it actually changes prior to menopause during perimenopause. So menopause, by definition, is when you have not had a period for 1 year. And then you're officially in menopause. And then after that, you're considered postmenopausal. Prior to that, your menstrual cycles are changing for months and years. So you can be in perimenopause for up to 10 years before you hit menopause. So I'm 42, and say I go into menopause at 50 or hit menopause at 50. I'm already in that stage where my hormones are fluctuating. I've got lower estrogen levels. I've got lower testosterone levels. The collagen in my skin is changing. So as those hormones are changing during perimenopause, we have less pelvic floor support. So all we see is maybe our hair changing or our skin changing or changes in our periods. But your pelvic floor is changing as those hormones change as well. You have more vaginal dryness because estrogen lubricates the vagina. You have less pelvic floor tone during perimenopause and menopause because estrogen also tones the pelvic floor and plumps it up. You may have weaker orgasms because you have less pelvic floor muscle strength and kind of connection, and you have less pelvic floor support. So what that means is you're at a higher risk for what's called pelvic organ prolapse. So pelvic organ prolapse, it sounds really scary, but it's when your organs aren't as well supported by this hammock of muscles and they start to drop into your vagina.
Yikes.
I know. So a lot of women experience this after birth and then in perimenopause and menopause because we don't have the same collagen and strength to support the organs, and everything starts to drop down.
Like all of a sudden there's just a rib coming out. I'm just joking.
Or it's more like you feel a bulge in the vagina. It feels heavy. You feel like the tissue's rubbing against itself.
Ugh.
I know. And so it's really common. Over 50% of women, after the age of, I think it's 50, can experience pelvic organ prolapse to a really mild extent. But again, if we don't address strength training, if we don't strengthen our muscles, if we don't address the changes, then it will only get worse because postmenopausal, we have like no stores of estrogen, testosterone, and collagen. And then things are just like, going down the drain.
Do Kegels work?
They can. Kegels are such an interesting thing to discuss because I feel like growing up, it's all we heard about our pelvic floor.
Yeah.
Do Kegels for better sex? Do Kegels for a tighter vagina? Do Kegels to stop leaks? And it's boiling down a complex part of the body to say, like, do this one thing to get a result. It's like saying, oh, you have back pain, just do crunches, right? When we know that it's really how you move, how you breathe, how you relax that's involved. Kegels are a pelvic floor muscle contraction. So say you're going pee and you want to stop your urine stream and you tighten your muscles, that's a Kegel. Or you need to pass wind in an elevator and you're trying to hold in a fart, that's a Kegel. It's tightening the front and the back, contracting and lifting the pelvic floor up. However, what's equally important is relaxation of that muscle. You can't walk around doing a Kegel all day to tighten your pelvic floor, right? It's like you don't just bend your elbow and tighten your bicep to get strong biceps. You have to contract and relax, and you have to use the muscle in different positions. So in sitting, in standing, while walking, while lifting, all the functions we do throughout the day, because that's when we leak. We don't just leak sitting in a chair or sitting in the carpool lane in our car. So you want to use the muscle when you need it, work on quick contractions and longer hold contractions because it's an endurance muscle as well, but also make sure that you need Kegels. A lot of women have tension and spasm, and Kegels could make their problems worse.
How does the pelvic floor play a role in either giving you a weak orgasm or the best orgasm of your life?
A huge role. So, arousal and orgasms they're definitely a mind-body connection. So in order for blood to start flowing and lubrication to occur in the vagina, you need to have arousal, which could be, physical touch. It could be watching something. It could be reading something. It could be thinking about something. So that is arousal. And then as blood starts to flow to the vagina and the vulva and the pelvic floor muscles, they kind of get to a heightened state of contraction. So that is where we start to think about having an orgasm. So the muscles are engorged with blood, and then you reach a climax and your muscles contract and relax during an orgasm. An orgasm is a contraction and relaxation cycle of your pelvic floor. So if you have weaker orgasms, it could be that your pelvic floor muscles are weak. This happened to me after giving birth. I had an orgasm. I was like, did that even happen? Like, you can't even tell. It's like radio
It was
silence
like
down there.
blowing in the wind.
It's like, well,
Hello?
that was over pretty quickly. Sometimes if you can't have an orgasm, your muscles could be too tight or tense, where they just can't get that blood flow there to get to that heightened state of climax. So again, it really depends if you have tension or if you have weakness. Also, can you relax? Are you in an environment where your nervous system is calm and relaxed? If we're in a really heightened environment where our nervous systems are firing overtime, like that's not going to help with orgasm. So it is a mind-body connection, but your pelvic floor muscles need to be in optimal shape to have great orgasms.
Does posture have anything to do with pelvic floor?
Yes, and we should probably uncross our legs now that we're talking about that.
Really? Okay. No crossing legs?
I know. I do it all the time, obviously. Yes, we are at a time in our culture where we sit a lot. And when we sit, we're stagnant. So you're not getting great blood flow to your pelvic floor. So people always say, like, what's the best posture for your pelvic floor? I'm like, the next one, because you want to be moving. I really tell people to get up every half hour, every hour, to take a walk, to get a sip of water, to elevate their standing desk, because we need blood flow to these muscles. The other thing is when we're sitting, we're like this. Right?
Yeah.
Our pelvis is tucked under, we're slouched, our back is rounded. Your pelvic floor muscles sit at the base of your abdominal cavity. So if they're crunched, you can't contract and relax those muscles really well to get relaxation of the muscles. And then also when you cross your legs, if you turn your knees in like this, if you twist your legs up in a pretzel like this.
Oh my gosh, that's how I sit.
I know.
My team the other day noticed that for the first time because I wrap my legs twice around each other when I cross my legs. And they're like, how are you even doing that? And I was like, I thought everybody could do this. And so, yeah, they'd never even seen that, but that's really bad.
It's not bad, but it can contribute to pelvic floor muscle tension. When when you think about, like, if you have to pee and you squeeze your legs together, or, little kids have to go to the bathroom and they like turn their legs in. Turning your legs in or your thighs in helps contract your pelvic floor. So if you're sitting that way a lot, and you have pelvic floor tension, it could be a contributing factor. So I often look at how people are sitting, how they're standing. When we're moms, we just like have a baby on the hip all the time. And that kind of makes our thighs go in and can cause imbalances in our pelvic floor.